Hello dear tea friends from around the world. Welcome to a new tea class with me, Stéphane Erler, the founder of the Tea Masters blog and the tea-masters.com tea boutique. Welcome to a new lesson for this winter class. We are studying high oxidation oolongs and red teas. Today it's going to be a red tea that is 24 years old. Happy birthday to him. And it's a specialty from Taiwan, and I hope that you'll find it interesting, and I'll answer your questions if you're live now at the end of the class. Before I start, I wanted to point you to my blog, Tea Masters blog. I've been quite active this week. I've written several reviews of this book, Emperor Huizong, from Patricia Buckley-Ebry, historian, published at the Harvard Press. A very interesting book about a Song Dynasty emperor who loved tea, who would make tea for his guests and chancellors, and also a poet, a calligrapher, a painter. Well, he lost half the country, but is it really his fault? Well, I tried to answer this question thanks to this book. I've written a long review. I hope that you'll enjoy it, also the pictures that I've added to it. And if not, if you are not in the mood for reading, in 2 weeks I'm going to make a video about this book as a review, so it will be even easier for you to also get a summary of this book, where I had 27 pages out of 500 something that were about tea. So it was quite a lot of tea material, because tea was quite big in the Song Dynasty, had a lot of impact on this emperor and the whole economy. So let's start now our class about a tea called Hongyu, which means ruby. Hong means red, or Yu is jade. So red jade actually is another name for ruby, the gem. And this tea is also known as Taiwan tea number 18. This means that it was created by the Taiwan Research and Extension Station, a Taiwan Tea Research Institute, who is known for having created Jinxuan or Cui. These ones we know pretty well in the oolong field. And in 1999 they also created this tea, Hongyu, by breeding a Burmese tea from an Assam varietal with a wild tea from Taiwan. And the cross of these two teas made Hongyu, a tea that is that has a lot of still character from this Assam breed, which is a full-bodied, very strong, large leaves tea, but it has also this sweeter touch from Taiwan. And being a wild tea that was crossed with this Assam, it's a tea that is quite easy to plant, very resistant, and therefore very suitable to make red tea, a tea that really enjoys very dramatic weather with hot temperatures. And this one is made in September of last year, 2022. It was made in Sun Moon Lake, also, or near Sun Moon Lake. This is in Nantou County, a region in Taiwan, in the center of Taiwan. It's the only county that has no coastline, so we are really inland, and this lake is elevated maybe 500-600 meters, but it still does not qualify as high mountain. That's why it's quite warm, very warm during the summer and fall time. And this, of course, weather, hot weather, high humidity helps to process these leaves into a full oxidized tea. The leaves we can see are long, single leaf. I can sometimes see some buds. Here's one that is orange golden buds, but the leaves are quite thin and long. They're not broken. This is a good sign. This means it won't be so astringent. If you break the leaves, it's going to be quite astringent. And let's see now how it tastes. Well, first, also smell. Very spicy smells. Now some tea leaves don't smell so much when they are at the dry stage, but this one already has a nice scent, quite spicy, and of course fruity with these fully oxidized aromas. Now we are brewing it kind of in a test mode with porcelain, but this is actually all right for red tea. Porcelain is the best material for red tea. When we go ahead now, boiling water. Now, of course, there are some of you who might say, oh, why boiling water? When I use boiling water on my red teas, they taste very harsh, and when I use water that is a little bit cooler, I get much less harshness. Actually, I get a better result with a lower temperature water when I brew most of my red teas. However, we are studying this tea and we want to test it also, and to know really how good it is, the best is to use boiling water. And if it's really a good tea, it's not going to taste so harsh, but it's going to be even more fragrant because more scents have been released thanks to the high temperature of the water. And it's only if you really find that the taste is too harsh that maybe on a later point you would lower the temperature. But for the first time, to understand the tea that you are brewing, it's best to use boiling water to get most out of it. It's like if you are a professor and you only ask easy questions to your student, you don't know at the end if he answers them all right how good he is. You also have to drop some very tough questions to see his level, especially if it's a good student. This is the same with teas. We have to use the boiling water to see how good it is. Okay, the color has changed, and we can pour. It's a very nice dark orange, almost brown, light brown, dark orange. Very nice transparency, shine. This time, since we did not see many buds, I don't see any hair, tea hair at the surface of the brew, not like in the previous classes we had about concubine or oriental beauty especially. None of these. The leaves are mature. We can look at the open leaves. I also tried not to use too many leaves because this is a very potent, very powerful tea. And the oxidation is complete. The leaves are also whole and so not broken. We can see this too. They are actually not so large. They were not harvested when they were too mature, but at rather young time. So this is good in terms of finesse, concentration of the aromas. Here you can have a look at the you almost don't see the dents on the leaf. And the aromas, very, very fragrant with mint, maybe some pepper, a bit of cinnamon, and maybe also clove. Very mature type of spicy notes. Now, how is the taste? It's kind of full body. I have a little dryness, slight astringency, but overall it's still quite sweet, and completely possible to drink it without any sugar. So high quality red tea, not with full leaves. The taste is more full-bodied than other teas that we might know because of the Assam cultivar, but it also has the sweetness, the softness of Taiwan teas. So it's a tea that you can even drink without sugar or milk, or you can add if you really want, but in the Kung Fu Cha setting you would not. Yeah, very spicy nose. So a very different tea than most teas that we had in this class because of the Assam variety that is constitutes half of the DNA in this tea. So we have a very different profile from most oolongs that we have studied, and that are the base for the teas that we have examined. Qingxing Dapang for the Oriental Beauty oolong, or Dai oolong for the red tea from the East Coast with honey notes, and also Qingxing oolong for the red tea in Alishan. These teas had something oolong-esque, very sweet and fragrant, fruity with them, but here with Assam DNA, half of it in this Hongyu, we have much more spiciness and more robustness, and also this wild tea also brings this robustness and maybe longer aftertaste, and very suitable for red tea, but so very different from the oolong-based teas that we had in the other classes. So maybe some of you won't like it because it's so much different, but you can take a different approach and say, oh, this brings a lot of variety, and it's also an improvement on the Assam teas that are made in other countries, India or Burma or Thailand, I think, and this one with this crossbreed is bringing more more flavors and a sweeter note, also thanks to the fact that it was picked and processed without cutting the leaves. This is really what makes also a very good red tea, is that we can see the leaves full, because it's more difficult to oxidize fully a leaf when it's still whole than when it's cut in small pieces. It's easier to oxidize when it's in small pieces, just then you have much more astringency when you are drinking it. So I hope that you have enjoyed drinking this tea, tasting it, and that you will join me next week for my last lesson of this class, of this winter class, and we are going to talk about a very similar tea, Hong Yun, number 21. If you've liked this video, also give me a thumbs up and subscribe the channel if you have not done it yet. Thank you very much for your help and for your interest. See you next week.